The City of Angels, famously called Los Angeles, is a great place to live if you're not a stuffed toy. They have always lived next to people, but today they are treated as if they were unnecessary garbage. They are oppressed everywhere and always, do not give a pass and try to evict from the city. Viewers are introduced to the main defender of the soft toys, named Phil Phillips. Many years ago, Phil worked as a police officer. Now he is a private detective and assistant to his stuffed friends. Phillips won't hesitate long before hitting the next rude guy. Phillips works in his small office on the outskirts of town. He is greeted by a secretary named Bubbles, a pleasant woman who is good with toys. One morning, Phillips's office is approached for help by a woman named Sandra White. Strangers blackmail Sandra, promising to tell a secret. To avoid this happening, Incognito asks for $350,000. The librarian does not have that kind of money, so she decides to turn for help to Phillips. The guy takes an advance on the job and takes on the investigation. Examining the anonymous letter, the letter P looks familiar to him. Phillips has seen one just like it in a magazine he can buy from his buddy Vinny. He decides to pay the guy a visit and ask some questions. In the back room, Vinny makes adult movies, featuring an octopus and a cow. Phillips asks his buddy to look at some magazines and compares the font of the title to the letters on the lettering. The detective realizes that the blackmailer is Vinny's client. Phillips asks to see a list of magazine buyers and the buddy sends him to his office. On his way through the movie studio, Phillips meets his old buddy, Mr. Bumblypants. He used to be an actor on a big American show, but now stars for adults. The popularity of the television show, in which most of the roles were played by toys, quickly sank and the toys were robbed of their fame, rights and dignity. While Phillips was looking for the magazines he needed in Vinny's office, someone in a black suit snuck into the store and shot everyone inside. Including Vinny, Mr. Bumblypants, and a couple of octopus and a cow. Phillips didn't hear the shots and returned to the store with a free spirit. When he saw what was going on, he was very shocked, but was able to call the police to the scene. A famous detective named Connie Edwards, who was Phillips' partner when he was on the force, arrived. The guys had maintained a not-so-good relationship and couldn't stand each other. Phillips remains the only witness to the attack, but the police seem unreliable to Toy's words. However, after talking to Lieutenant Banning, the guy is released. Meanwhile, the show involving the toys was scheduled to return to television. One of the actors was a brother of Phillips, named Larry. With the money received for the participation in the show, the guy had an operation to whiten and reshape his nose. Larry is happy for the return of the show to television, because all the participants will get good royalties and he will be able to pay off his creditors. Phil meets with him to talk about the murder of Mr. Bumblypants. His brother only calms him down and jokes that the Stretch has always dreamed of dying in an adult store. Larry is recognized at the restaurant, whereupon he breaks his brother's feelings, for, in his opinion, Phillips has accomplished nothing. Phillips meets with his former partner again, who mentions that dolls can't be real detectives. Edwards promises the boy that when he stumbles or makes a mistake, she will be the first to put Phillips away and spills a milkshake on the car window. In the evening, Phillips wants to relax and have a few drinks in his office. The secretary invites him to spend the evening together, but Phillips refuses. The detective does not notice that he likes Mrs. Bubbles, although she is the only person who adores soft toys for their sweetness. In the meantime, Larry is having fun with the girl in the hot tub. He shows old moments from the filming of a TV show involving toys. At some point they notice Phillips and his former mentor, Connie. At the time, Phillips was having a bit of a relationship with Jenny, the only human girl on the show. After sending the girl off to get another batch of margaritas, Larry was left alone in the hot tub. At that moment, someone had let the evil doll killers into his house and the dogs tore the guy into little pieces. At the scene, Phillips quickly arrives, but is stopped by a lieutenant. The guy breaks through the crowd of cops and notices Connie, who is speaking inappropriately about Larry. For her words, the woman ends up in the hot tub, along with an enraged Phillips. After a big fight, the lieutenant says that he wants to bring in Phil as a consultant, but will have to work together with Connie. The former team was not happy with these suggestions. The partners agree and head to the producer of a television show to report the deaths of two of the show's actors. Upon arriving at the TV place, they ask several questions of the producer, the answers to which are ignored. Connie distracts the producer by talking about the silliness of toys, while Phillips tries to find contracts and arrangements. The man disregards the toys' feelings and hires them as labor to clean his house. This situation angers Phillips and he aims a metal ball at the producer's head, turning him off. The team of partners stealthily take the contracts of the contestants of the television show. According to this document, the 7 contestants of the program receive $10 million for their return. In the event of an actor's death, the sum goes to his spouse, but if he is not there, the money is divided among the remaining actors. Partners create a version that the killer is one of the actors, because after the death of all the actors, he gets the money. To verify their version, the partners go to one of the actors of the show, named Lyle. He lives in Jet and runs an illegal business. In his private office, no one is allowed to enter. Phillips reveals a little secret to Connie: she's not a perfect person. After she was injured, she got a toy kidney transplant, so the girl has a chance to pass. To test the theory, the detective offers Connie a toy drug that can cause a person to fall into a diabetic coma. However, the drug works on her as a toy drug, so it's okay to have conversations in front of the girl. Connie sits down to play cards, and Phillips and Lyle retreat to talk. At this point, a car pulls up to the guys, which fires and kills Lyle, and the villains leave the garage. Connie breaks up a crowd of guys who speak ill of women. While the violent shooting was going on, Connie was in the John and didn't hear anything. Moments later, a lieutenant and a team of police officers are on the scene. They repeat their story to the lieutenant, and mention the murder of 3 actors in the past week. Upon his return to the office, Phillips is met by the beautiful Sandra. The detective has completely forgotten about investigations and is concentrating on the murders. Sandra decides to whet his appetite and get him to work on an important case. They make firm love in Phillips's office and solidify their arrangements to find the anonymous man. At this point, a team of police officers, FBI representatives and a lieutenant visit the office. Phillips has been spotted at the scene of the 2 actors' murders, and this seems suspicious enough. Phillips disagrees with the police's words and actions, for it is not his fault. He is not going to be quick to give up and be imprisoned. Phillips realizes that if he is arrested, he will not be able to solve the mystery of Larry's murder. The guy escapes through the window to avoid being seen by the police. While Connie was searching for another member of the show, Phil paid a visit to Jenny, who worked at a strip club. The guy invites her in for a little chat to find out about meeting Sandra. The girl admits that she does not remember every doll resting on the bar. After a brief conversation, he walks Jenny to her car. Moments later, the car explodes with the girl inside. Passing by, the police again spot Phillips at the murder scene, but he manages to escape. Connie finds another actor named Buff in a drug den. He finally lost himself and fell in love with drugs. When Connie asked him about the murders, all he could say was some nonsensical words. Buffy talked about his wife and that someone had become a couple. The woman didn't learn anything else, for he quickly shut down. To hide from the police, Phil sneaks into Connie's apartment while she is asleep. There, the atmosphere reminds him of the past. He recalls the day the doll grabbed his partner and threatened her with a gun. Phil shoots the villain in the head, but the perpetrator manages to dodge and the bullet hits a bystander. His daughter mourned for the man while Phil tried to save Connie from danger. She was badly wounded and had to be taken to the doll hospital, where she had a doll's liver transplant. After that incident, the toys were permanently banned from serving on the police force. In the morning, Connie learns that Buffer is another victim of criminals. Most likely, the toy was drowned, the body was fished out of the bay in the morning, squeezed out, and sent to the morgue for examination. Connie tells Phillips about what Buffy said about his spouse. They realize it's about the TV couple, Ezra and Curry. The partners decide to visit the actors and find out more information. Along the way, memories come flooding back to them. The partners reminisce about common events, after which Phil finds his uniform in Connie's trunk. At their cousin's house, where Ezra and Curry now live, the partners find mutants, their underdeveloped children. In one of the rooms are the dead spouses, covered by a blanket. No perpetrator is found at the scene, nor are there any small clues or footsteps. Moments later, police with the FBI arrive at the murder scene again. They grab Phillips and take him back to the station for questioning. At the police station, Sandra had already testified. The girl said, Phillips confessed that he was the one who killed all the actors. Phillips tried to justify himself, but nobody listened to him. The guy was caught at the scene of almost every crime, but he escaped without explanation. Sandra gave enough testimony to prove the police's information. Connie didn't agree with the police decision, so she got into a fight with Agent Campbell. For confronting and causing minor injuries to FBI and police agents, the girl is suspended from her assignment. When the girl has dropped her hands and does not believe in the salvation of her soft friend, Phillips's secretary, Miss Bubbles, pays her a visit. The 2 girls went to Sandra's apartment and found a secret room, which was full of evidence that it was the girl who killed all the actors of the television show. However, Sandra had left a little trap, which caused the room to quickly fill with fire and the evidence to burn. The main evidence remained a picture of a little girl with her father, whom Phillips had accidentally killed years earlier. The girls realized that Sandra was avenging her father's treacherous death. She sets up the murder so that all the blame is placed on Phillips and he is punished. With no evidence of what is going on, the girls decide to follow Sandra and solve the case. To do this, she is going to get Phillips out of jail. The girl shoots him so that Phil is taken to the hospital. On the way, Connie puts an orderly and driver to sleep so she can steal an ambulance. The partners head to the airport from which Sandra was about to leave. Phillips straps the girl into a chair so she won't risk her knowledge or her life. The guy decides to solve the investigation himself and catch the criminal. Here it is revealed that Jenny and Sandra were allies, and after all the TV actors died, the girl took the money. It turns out that Jenny's death was staged and the girl simply escaped through another exit. Sandra manages to disarm Phil and turn in the detective to security. Jenny wants to stand up for the guy, but the criminal turns the girl off. At this point, Connie rips off the steering wheel of the ambulance she was strapped to. The girl smashes the security crowd with the steering wheel to make her way to Phillips. All that remains is to disarm and turn in Sandra to the police. But, the girl proved to be quick and determined. In the cockpit of the plane, she threatens to kill Connie, but the guy successfully shoots the criminals, and the bullet hits exactly in the beauty's head, killing the girl. The police arrive on the scene and Phillips is acquitted. After returning to the office, Phil begins to realize that Miss Bubbles wants to be more than just a secretary. The guy thanks the girl for her ingenuity and rescue, asking her out on a date. For his successful investigation, Phil is brought back into the ranks of the police force. He and Connie rejoice, for they are partners again.